you have to produce content daily. The algorithm and the platforms favor them because they want you to think that you're going to have just of a good as experience. And originally my job was to figure out how to master social media, create strategies for this, become an expert at those things, how to hold retention, what are people doing, how many swipes, how many likes, how many clicks. But when you build a community in social media, that is how you get ahead. This is the Podcast in the Rough. Tune in every Friday for new adventurous episodes. All right, and welcome to the Podcast in the Rough. This is episode 145, and today's topic is going to be covering social media and the effects social media may be having on you, what it's having on me, and I'm going to share my experience, what I'm going through from week to week. I'm going to kind of tap into this throughout each episode, but I wanted to get your feedback on what that is for you. And so some of the things I want to go over today is talking about, social media experiment, like what I'm experimenting right now with on how social media makes me feel and what is considered social media, right? Versus websites and Google and things like that, or, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And I also want to talk about our happiness, our emotional ties to social media, what it does to our emotions, what direction are we trying to go with social media, the hold it may have on you, and these things that I feel are frustrating me. And I feel like a lot of you could relate to this and maybe you're feeling the same frustration. So that is why I wanted to talk about that in this episode of the Podcast in the Rough. Once again, I'm your host, Zebulon Thomas, and I want to dive right into this right now. First off, before I get started, I like to talk about podcasting and the equipment I use. I'm currently using the Zoom PodTrack P4, and I just realized there's something I don't like about this, finally. Right? I use it. I love it. It's portable. You can go anywhere. It's a mixer, and it's powerful. It's a great tool. But I will say this, that right now I'm not experiencing the best quality on the sound pads. When I program them because I was going to put my intro on here and just run this live and go. And it's not the same quality. They're very distorted. It converts it. So I got to do some more research. It's probably good. But the way it did it for me, I just put it in there and it converted it. And I just didn't like how it sounded. It sounded really just off and not as clean, and it sounded like it really compressed it. So I got to look into it a little bit. So if you have a Zoom PodTrack P4, again, it's an amazing mobile tool to use, a mixer to go out there and get your podcasts and other recordings done. But when it comes to using those pads, you're still going to have some editing to do. And I feel like this episode here, I don't like to edit that much anymore because I'm really busy with my podcast and other things going on. But I'm going to have to edit this episode. At least I know I only have to edit the very beginning and the very end because I'm only going to do an intro and outro. But you won't be hearing the swoosh patterns that I have, a little swoosh that I like. Also, I'm connecting this to my SM58 microphone by Shure. And I love this microphone. It's got a little bit of a deeper, richer tone. And so, again, I'm not going to put my EQs on this. I do want to experiment with this and test it again and see just if it sounds good. So hopefully I'm not blowing out your ears and your speakers. It's not rumbling. So there's that. But okay, let's dive right in to social media. And I have some questions for you. What is the hold social media has on you? Can you put it down? Can you not look at Facebook, TikTok, Instagram for 24 hours? I challenge you to test this. Can you really, do you feel like you're going to miss out? Do you have FOMO, right? Do you feel like if I don't tune into social media, I'm going to miss out? That's the first question I want to ask. And feel free to DM me or comment below wherever you see this podcast posted. I want to know because I know for me personally, I tend to rebel against social media a lot throughout my week. I'm like, all right, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to look, right? And originally my job was to figure out how to master social media, create strategies for this, become an expert at those things, how to get content to grow, how to get it to go, how to get it organic, how to get the paid to play reach go further. What are things, how to hold retention, what are people doing, how many swipes, how many likes, how many clicks, how to get somebody to comment. I know all those things, how to work with the algorithm that constantly changes, the multiple algorithms. That was my job as a strategist for many, many years. And to this day, I still kind of do that, but I found other strategies that are just as effective and if not more effective and also more important when micromanaging the way your content is received and the engagement and the quality and how to get the most bang for your buck if you are investing in advertisement in this algorithm, in this space of social media. But now what I will say is the reason I rebel against it is because it overwhelms me. Right now it's feeding us, and I say us because we're all in this soup here, and that's what social media is. It's a soup. When it first started out, the golden years of YouTube, like content was fresh, people were putting stuff up. But now social media is just so bogged down with just unnecessary garbage. It's not even creative stuff anymore. It is a combination of, one, the top list is just advertisement. You got to be sold. Buy. Give me your money. That is so annoying. How many ads are you seeing before you play, as you play mobile games, as you get on, to watch, TV or whatever, when you're watching Amazon Prime, whether you're on mobile or not, like there's ads in the world. And then you go into social media and there's ads, so many suggested ads and pay to play ads. And it goes back to some of the strategies I've implemented over the years for some of the top entrepreneurs and brands was, let's not ask, right? Let's inform, let's educate, let's show, and let them decide if they want to engage. And you get a better return on everything you invest in, whether it's time, money, whatever, when you do ads that way. But if you go, it's like speaking to someone that does not even want or know about your product, and you try to sell them. You might get it. If you throw it up against 100 people, you might get one or two. But if you just constantly give information, add value, build connections, build relationships, educate, and let them go, wow, I want to be more involved. I want to ask, how do I get your product? Or I'm going to research to get your product. Or how do I get involved in your services or your company? Or how do I represent, right? And again, so, when you look on social media, you're constantly being sold to. And then you got these entrepreneurs that are selling to you constantly just garbage stuff. Like some of them have really good things that really do help you. And you can, obviously, you're a good judge of character. You'll know who's who. But when you see people just selling you stuff and it doesn't have any value, it's just a shell, or it's just something that's been recycled and it's not theirs. It's just they've learned to not be creative anymore. They just want the money. And then obviously we see the corporate people being more greedy. But if you really look at social media, the big boys, right? The big companies, the big brands, they're not as heavy on social media. They're playing big in the other realm, like advertising for the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, in the games, on TV ads still. You'll hear some on radio, right? You don't really see a lot of that advertisement going on heavily on Instagram, TikTok. But what they do is they find ways to build these smaller relationships with content creators. And the content creators are now filtering that in there because they're getting paid to do that. And the good ones know how to filter that in and be transparent about it, but also be slick, exciting, engaging, where it's acceptable. Others will just throw it in there and go against the rules and not tell you, and they can't do that. They have to, disclose, they have to let you know. There's got to be transparency that I'm being paid to advertise. And then there's the content creators that are just like not creative, just taking the money and just throwing it out there, right? So what I'm saying is social media has become like the soup where it's just wearing us down. And I want to know, how does it make you feel? Because it's having an impact on our mental state. And that mental state, you got to protect it. I mean, if you're basically just you're bombarding your brain with so much unnecessary information, it's unlike if you were to pick up 100 books and read them, you're going to learn something, right? Or if you're going to watch some educational content. But when you're just bombarded with people, it's kind of like walking around just asking everybody what their problem is today or how their day is going. At the end of the day, you might feel exhausted. So if you're feeling exhausted from social media, I challenge you to take a 24-hour break. I challenge you to restrict certain applications or social media platforms and don't involve too much. Focus on tailoring the content. I'm one of those individuals that want to get away more of social media. The more it is in this phase, I got to let it shift. Go do you. I'll come back when it's better. Because social media right now, like I said, it's being overwhelmed with just not important stuff. It's not even creative stuff anymore. And so that's kind of got me bothered. And I would love to know if you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed or detached from maybe just society in general and your experience on social media. And I know everyone's social media experience is going to be different. Like you're going to have different content based on the things you involve yourself in and the content that you put out there, or if you're just like a viewer, like what the ads you like, it's going to tailor that to you. And it's supposed to help you make, your social media experience a lot better. But I would love to know, are you having a great social media experience or a bad one? And how is it affecting your mental and emotional state? So with that, I want to say that I want to move into like what social media and our phones in general, what kind of hold does it have on us? The one thing I think about when I look at the youth with their face in the phones, I do think about it like, is this what my parents were saying? I would say our parents, everyone was, kid down the block was like, oh, don't play that much video games. Like, get out there and play. Like, is this what they were seeing? Like, they didn't have video games. And then all of a sudden video games came into play in PC games. And they're like, you're spending too much time on this thing. You need to be outside playing. And then we kind of got a little bit of both that. We got to play outside. We saw the social media. We played the video games and the computer games. Then social media started to happen. And we experienced social media unfold. And we're like, oh, what's this? But then we see the youth that are just like all about it. And they're not doing anything. They're gaming, of course. But are we looking at that going, you should get out more? And the only thing that comes to my mind is you got to have a healthy balance. You got to have a healthy balance. You got to have your sports, have your activity, have your social time, and have your video game time if you're a gamer, and have your, social media time if you're a content creator, or you do like to enjoy and use social media to learn things. And I think it takes a amount of discipline from each individual to be able to say, I'm going to use social media as a tool to educate myself or to see what's going on in the world and then build something to maybe be a part of that what's going on in the world, or help and aid in that what's going on around the world, but not let it, detach me, waste my time. And so the hold I say that it has on us is I feel that the youth are going to wake up one day and go, I'm 40. How'd that happen? I was just a kid. Because time goes by so fast. And I'm experiencing that when I'm in social media. I'm like, dang, where did 2 years go? I've been working so hard. We got to learn to not forget about reality, because there's a control factor there. And if you knew what I know, and I'll give you a little bit of that information, but again, I'm not trying to create a conspiracy or anything like that. What I'm saying is social media and these companies have designed their platforms and their algorithms to, one, keep you engaged, keep you on the platform as long as possible. And they encourage that. At the beginning, it was content and advertisement. Then they saw the creators doing things, and they're like, okay, these content creators, we got to penalize them if they really want to make money and make a shift here. So we have to find a way to keep them on the platform and then allow them to keep their audience engaged and keep them on the platform. And so it becomes a trap, because to get monetized, you have all these requirements and you can't dip below those requirements. And it says that you have to produce content daily. And so, if you're just looking at a content creator, yeah, they can position themselves between a company and social media, make some really good money and feed content. Or they could be the entrepreneur trying to feed it for themselves. But or if you're a business owner, you could be the one wearing all the hats, feeding the content. And now you're in this rat race of trying to perform to get comments, likes, shares, subscribers, followers. And all those numbers mean what? How do you convert likes and shares into money? And there is a way. There is a conversion. It's hard, and some it comes easy to. But those people that have found social media and have this big exposure, the algorithm and the platforms favor them because they want you to think that you're going to have just of a good as experience. And so when you think about that, it becomes a trap, because then you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to perform. I have to constantly create content. And if you stop making the content, then you lose the traction and the algorithm doesn't favor you. And just the other day, I realized there's a couple things. You can't just schedule posts like you used to. No, there is an algorithm penalty there that where if you schedule a month out of post, it knows that, and it knows that you're not really in front of your device uploading this content in real time. So therefore, you're not spending time on the platform. Therefore, you're not going to get the top spot. The algorithm's not going to push you. It's not going to push your content out there. So now it's like, no, you have to upload directly at this time. Oh, and then we're going to limit how much you can upload at once because we still want you to be engaged. And it's also like, oh, as a content creator, you want people to see your stuff. Well, guess what? You got to like other people's stuff, comment other people's stuff, share other people's stuff. And I get that. We should all communicate and share other people's stuff. And I do participate in other people's content. Oh, that's cool. I love it. But they want you to reach outside of your bubble and keep finding new things. And that's the algorithm. And it's trained to keep our brains so saturated and active and constantly thinking about them and like the platform and the content on it. And then it wants us to engage and it wants to stay on it and forget about your life. Like there is more to life than just social media. And I've been seeking out companies that have found major success without having social media. Just like when I would get frustrated when, companies or individuals would be like, hey, you only got 9,000 subscribers on YouTube. You must not be a big deal. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with my talent, my skill, my value, my worth. And I want anyone listening to this, I want you to know that your likes, shares, subscribers, followers, that kind of count, those numbers, that does nothing to your worth and your value. You got to know that. Because I never seeked out to get these likes, shares, and views. Yeah, it's exciting, but that's not my goal. My goal was to build a portfolio to show the bigger companies what I'm capable of doing, and it worked at the very beginning of my career. And now I just go out there and I just get it because that's, I've built this traction, I already got it. And sometimes, occasionally, I will still get a big brand that has reached out to me and said, we want to work with you. And then they see something that I've done for another big company. So they trust that, it's rapport. They're like, hey, if Mountain Dew did it, we want to be in. Who is this guy, right? And then they invest in me and my company. So, but then you might get someone on the team and go, hey, we looked at your social media, and they don't know how the game works in that industry. And they're one of those people that think that you have to be on social media. And they go, oh, you don't have a big following, whatever, so I don't see how that you're really going to do anything for us. And they don't realize that, no, it's not about me. It's about what I do for companies. And if you have the motor running, I know what to put in it and how to optimize it. And if you have the reach, I know how to expand that and, just blow that out. And I love doing next level stuff, like next level your business. And so again, it's not about me next leveling my own business. Like sometimes you just can't help yourself, right? Sometimes you got to have the help. So I have coaches and I have people and I have strategists to help me out because I'm too in my business. I need people to work on my business. So, I have the help. But when it comes to big companies, like I'm focused on their stuff. I know what it is and I'm in the zone. It has nothing to do with me. And therefore I can operate at my peak performance. So your value and my value has nothing to do with those numbers. Yes, of course you have, if I had a big following, 1 million people, you might think, oh, that's my value. I mean, like, oh, I have 1 million followers, but it really doesn't mean anything besides the fact you have a bunch of people that have their eyes on you occasionally, or they've clicked a button, but have you engaged with them? You see how these content creators are big followings that, like you have 1 million or 2 million followers, but when you look at their view count, they get like 4,000 views and maybe 1,000 likes. Where's the millions that are following you? Like, why are they? Because not everyone can see that. They're not engaged. Some of them are bots. Some of them are fake. Some of them weren't earned. But when you build a community in social media, that is how you get ahead. So when I go back to the question of like, how does social media have a hold on us? I say, like, don't allow social media to have such a hold on you, just like your business and all your other stuff. You got to give time for other things in your life to breathe and experience and have fun. So don't forget to put your phone down, the social media down, and go live life and go party, go have fun, go socialize and get involved with companies and people and take, traveling and go on adventures, all that type of stuff. Like, just have fun living your life and tap into social media when needed. But the problem is a lot of people also share their life on social media and they share the best part of their life, only that. I want to encourage you and everybody else to start sharing your ups and your downs. It's much more powerful to see someone who's had a down day and the next day they're better and the next day they're down, next day they're better. And then they say, hey, I have my days, but I keep going because this is what life is about and I have a purpose. And that makes you think, oh, you know what? It's okay to have an off day or a down day or a bad day. And those good days, I value them. And then find a medium in the middle and go, okay. and help each other mentally grow and connect with people. So right now, people are craving human interaction and connection with others because they're not getting it as much because of social media. That's why you see everyone running to TikTok, just sitting there for hours on a live stream where someone just looking at the camera and maybe they're selling something or maybe they're just conversating and they're, it's like that breaks all the rules of marketing because like people were like, oh, how do you get retention? You got to sell, advertise, sell, entertain, build that value. What's next? What's next? But then you got someone who's got, a million people following them, 10,000 people watching their live stream, and they're just kind of sitting there talking to the story, to the feed about like their life or something that happened in their life, or asking questions or not talking at all, right? I mean, I've seen, listen, on Twitch, you see people like, that convert over to TikTok that are just sleeping and it says, wake me up, and you got to donate money to like do something weird. Like it's the weirdest stuff online. Now, I will say social media has opened the world up to how creative can we get? And that's exciting. If you're creative and you find a way on there, that's great. And I think social media also is a very good tool on getting exposure and letting people know that, hey, I'm here. But also, it's also a very destructive tool if you use it improperly, like some of these companies and content creators have been doing, false media, and that hurts people mentally. It's bad. It's like, why share it just for the likes and views? Why put that out there? And I know we need the good and the bad. I get it. But report on some real stuff, real events, real things that are happening. Don't make stuff up. Don't put fluff and fake stuff out there. Really put something of value. Even if it is negative news, there's value there. Hey, you know what? This thing's happening. It's really bad that it's happening, but we're going to put some eyes on it and report on it. And we're going to get the viewers, feedback on it. We're going to try to get the scoop, right? There's power there, but not when it's completely a blanket statement and flat out lies and smoke and mirroring and conspiracies and like all that stuff. Like, I get it. You got to be controversial if you really want to blow up. You do. But there are ways to be controversial that doesn't really hurt people, and it really challenges social media to grow. So I challenge everyone to challenge social media to grow. It's only just, it's us. Like we can't blame social media. It's us. We all came to this and decided to just give crap. But it's also the corporations that run it and the big heads and entrepreneurs that are involved in this to feed the agenda to get you to be locked in and create these rules and regulations and a game plan and a blueprint that this is how this works. This is how you win at this game. But yet you'll never win. It's like a giant Vegas, right? Like you go there, you have fun. You're going to lose a lot of money. You might get lucky and win some. Even if you know what you're doing, you might win a little bit. But if you win and you come back, you're going to lose it. You're going to give it all back. But if you win and walk away, then you win, right? So go to social media to win and walk away and win, right? Don't go to social media, win and get a loss. Like, don't do that. So I share that with you because, like, if you have kids, are you letting your kids watch social media, involve themselves in YouTube? Did you even take the time to put the filters on? Even with the filters on YouTube, depending on the age of your child, they're getting exposed to things that they shouldn't be. And even I'm frustrated with the filters being on. I'm like, that really technically is not a good thing for my kid to see. And then let's think about it even with you as an adult. What are you being exposed to that could be destructive to your relationship, to your mental health, to your well-being, like how you perceive the world, your view of the world, like your belief system, is it being challenged? Like what are some things that are not good? And then what are the things that are good, of course? Because even though you go seek out all the things that you want in your life, you're going to find a lot of stuff. It's going to put it in your face, things that like, hey, let's just see what they react to this. Bam. And if you don't click, I'm not interested, or block, whatever, like, it's going to keep feeding you that. But so we have to take our time, is what I'm saying. We have to really take our time to analyze what we're getting into. And we need to really take our time to go, what is my intent? Set the intent. What do I want today to be about in my life? Like, think about your life day to day and project what you want the future to be. And that brings me to my next question. What is the desired outcome or goal of social media in the first place? Like, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know if you sat down with Zuckerberg or any one of the owners of these social platforms and said, what is the goal? Like, not just the goal for them to get rich or create something. Like, that's great. Zuckerberg created this amazing platform, Facebook. that connected the world. Like, that's incredible, right? The love-hate relationship, I get it. And the fact that he's all about that. But what I'm saying, whether you like Zuckerberg or not, right? Like, here's someone who stepped up and figured it out and rose up at a very young age with a very smart, sharp mind to create something like this. And then had to navigate the waters at a young age to know what business and this kind of money and volume. And then when the vultures came for him and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the snakes and the sharks, he dealt with them all. Like, how would you have navigated those waters? You know, I'm not giving anybody a pardon. I'm just saying, like, that's got to be a challenge if you think about it. How would you have navigated that? You would have probably made a lot of decisions fast, quick, or maybe they wouldn't have been good decisions, or maybe you would say, how can I get a gain out of this? How can I win? Because you see what's going to happen. So what I'm saying is, what is the outcome of social media in general? Like, we want to build this social media platform up so that eventually it becomes this great place that everyone connects. Okay, cool. Oh, this is going to be a blueprint for our history so we can look back and it's building a history. Or this is going to give data across the world that, you know, in some cases it's true. You know, marketers and, you know, big companies can look at the data and go, oh, we know what our target market is in the demographic, and, you know, we know what the world's thinking, doing, acting, wanting, don't like, what feeds the fear, you know. And then they go, okay, we can target all our ads to that, right? That's the biggest thing. But let's ask the question, which in my opinion is a lot bigger than that, is what is your goal for social media? Why did you get on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook? What is your goal? Is it because you fear missing out? Are you getting on social media because you want to feed into that? You want to put something up there so people see you, so you feel important, or so that you someday could maybe break through and maybe you become a big content creator, or maybe you can make a lot of money? Is that what the goal was? Or were you going to social media because you're like, I want to see what this thing's all about? And then you're like, okay, let me learn from this. Okay. Or are you just showing up to social media because everyone else is doing it and you become the cattle and you're just like, well, they do it, so I do it. I don't know why. Have you ever scrolled through TikTok or Instagram like, what did I just do for 20 minutes? Did I learn anything? And I get it. Like, listen, sometimes I'll look and I'm like, nothing. Other times I'll look and I'm like, that's funny. I like to laugh. I love that. That's great. That's hilarious. You know, or, you know, like, so I'm saying, like, we have to figure out how to, like, make this tool work better for us. And maybe it's not affecting you at all. Maybe you're like, hey, you know what, Zebulon, I think you're just having a bad experience with social media. And that's probably the case. But if you ever fall in that point in social media, your social media experience, or in your life, where you're starting to get a rough spot here and you're like, what is this all about? And you're aggravated. Maybe you'll remember this conversation I'm having here, you know, what I'm sharing with you on this episode, and you go back to it and go, oh, that's what he was talking about. That leads me to my next question. And that is social media enabling you or disabling you? Like, when you turn it on, when you log into it, are you feeling enabled, empowered? Or are you feeling drained and disabled? Like, how does that make you feel day to day, hour by hour, week by week, right? Like, does it serve you? If it doesn't serve you, don't add it to your life. The number one rule that I always say to everyone is, do not, when you wake up the first thing in your morning, do not turn on your phone. Do not go to social media. When you wake up, if you want to have a solid, intent, you know, purposeful, abundant life, you got to get up in the morning and stick to a ritual and a routine that serves you, that gets you primed and ready for the day. So when you get up, maybe that's get up, stretch, give gratitude, go have a healthy smoothie, a healthy breakfast, do some meditation, maybe some yoga, maybe you go on that run, maybe you power lift, maybe you get in the sauna, maybe you take the cold plunge. And then after that hour and a half, 2 hours, you're ready for the world. And I know some of you are like, hey, listen, I get up and go right to work. Okay, but you take time in your day, some time in your day, to break it up, to go, hey, let me have a reset. But I guarantee, like, try it. If you get up and you have to go right to work because you don't want to get up earlier before work because you're already don't have enough time, then get up, but don't turn on social media. Feed your brain something good. Listen to an audiobook on the way to work. Read a book when you have a little bit of time while you're eating breakfast. But do not scroll social media. Set your intent, set your day up, and then when you arrive at your destination, when you're ready for the world, that's when you can turn that on. And when you start doing things in that way, I promise you, your life will change. You know, so what I'm saying is, even if you love social media, that's the last thing you should do. You should get up and give the time to yourself first. So I want to know, is it enabling you or disabling you? Does it have a hold on you? Is it positive or negative? Comment below. I'd love to know. And now I want to talk about the careers and jobs of social media. And Listen, there's so many ways to make money online, and I've seen all the ways. The ways that, are scams, the ways that don't add value, but people are going to invest in you, the ways that you're really good at what you do and you're going to add the massive value. I've seen it. And then it's like, do you want to own a company and run the show? Do you want to work for a company and help run the show? Do you want to work for the company and just feed the content? Do you want to work for the actual platform and, be a customer service rep, if you will, or be a person in the middle to figure out how to make this algorithm work better, or what feeds the social media platform more? So like there is endless job opportunities online, but I will say this. When you look at it, do you want a job or do you want a career? So when you're entering into things, like, don't just go and get a job. Go get a job that will build you up with skills and lessons and a state of mind and a well-rounded knowing of business that will take you into the career you want to grow. So like I say this to everyone, if you want to own a franchise, then you need to get close to franchise owners and work for a franchise. If you want to become someone on the stock market or something and work with stock people, work at a job that has something to do with that. Don't go work, if you want to be in fitness, work at McDonald's, right? Unless you're learning about all the things you shouldn't eat and that's how you're going to be good. Like, you could twist that. But what I'm saying, go put yourself around people. You want to be wealthy, hang out with wealthy people. And I don't mean just money. I mean people that actually have their body and their mind is in tune. They're eating healthy foods. They have the career. They have the money. They have the cars. They have the vacations. They are happy. You want to be happy, hang out with happy people. You want to be fit, go to the gym. Don't go to the bar. So I want you to start thinking about these things. Like, same with social media. What kind of experience do you want today? What do you want life to give you today? Where are you spending your time? You don't want to wake up one day and be like, man, I'm old and I spent my whole life on social media just scrolling and never did anything. If you're going to jump in and do this, then do it. But remind yourself, like, there's a rat race out there and you don't want to be stuck in traffic. You want to be moving, baby. You want to be doing cool things that make life better. You want to be creative, or you want to add back and give value and build a community. You don't want to just be spinning your wheels in the mud in one place and not going anywhere. That's exhausting. You want to make sure you're making precision strikes. You're doing the things you need to do. And that might be learning about the algorithm, learn how to play the game, but then play the game and change it up on them and go, hey, I'm feeding this, I'm getting controversy, but it's good stuff. And the world likes this. And some people don't, but it's all a healthy conversation. So I'm doing an experiment with social media, and I wanted to share that with you on this episode of the Podcast and Rough. I wanted to talk to you about it. I wanted to say, hey, you know what? Right now, social media has got some ups and downs with me. And sometimes it wears me out. Sometimes it makes me laugh. Sometimes it makes me upset. Sometimes it frustrates me. A lot of times it leaves my brain mush. And I look at it, I'm like, what is it? What is it all for? What are we doing? And so I just want to encourage you to remind yourself that your life is worth living if you show up. And it used to be that life is worth living to show up. That means if you show up and actually put in the work. That means if you show up and work out, right? That means if you actually say, I'm gonna try to do this. But now it just means, like, honestly, your life deserves more if you show up by putting the phone down and making yourself look a little further than the 3 feet in front of you, and looking out around you and going, wow. Like, when's the last time you walked in the park without your phone? I see people walking the park with their phone. When I'm at the park, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm in my mind. I'm doing my mantras, whatever that is for you, or I'm waving at people. I'm saying hi. I'm looking at nature. I'm observing my surroundings. I'm giving gratitude. You don't have to be me. But I tell you what, just the other day I did this. And I came back and I was like, man, I'm on cloud 9. Like, I feel 100,000% better just from taking this 3-mile walk and not having social media. And even when I'm driving home, I see people in the car all the time on their phones. My phone is away. It's plugged into my car. I'm driving, hand-free, but I'm not scrolling through. I'm trying to drive a car. And when I'm driving the car, I can't be looking at social media, because while I'm driving the car and I'm aware of where I'm going, I am also visually thinking forward on the life I want. But not so much, because you can get into this trance hypnosis state of thinking about what you want in your life and drive right into a wall, right? Like, you could do that. So I'm such a deep thinker that when I'm driving, I have to be aware of that. That's just as bad as on the phone. So I bring all this up, this soup today, in this episode because, one, I wanted to make a shift in my podcast here and be more personal. I wanted you to get to know what's on my mind. I want to share some of the knowledge and skills that I learned, and developed over the course of my life, not just my career. And I'm always going to tell you, listen, go out there and you give positivity, it'll come back. Even when it doesn't come back, just keep giving it. And when you focus on you and you go, I am good at what I do and I love myself and I give gratitude and thank you, and I appreciate all the people around me, life will give you more. And it's going to be more of the good stuff. Like, how fast can you get depressed right now? How fast can you get yourself upset? How fast can you get sad? It's easy. Now, think about how hard it is to get happy. You have to, like, it is harder to be happy. Not all of us, some of us are just naturally happy, but a big majority of us, it takes a few more emotions to think about all the good things that make us put a smile on our face. Like, oh, that makes me happy, and I'm feeling it right now. But it could take one thought to start to lower our energy. So raise your energy, raise your vibration, be a happier person by just engaging in social media and knowing when to stop. Don't spill over. Don't engage too much in things that really don't feed your mind the positivity that you want out of life. I'm not saying hide it, put your blinders on. Sometimes you do need to put your blinders on, but I'm not saying like don't look, it's there. But don't take on other people's problems and make it your problem. Don't take on the world's pain and put it into your life. We need you, if you have the positivity, to give us the positivity and the high vibrations and the elevated lifestyle and the positive thoughts and all that energy. We need you to give that to us. So if we are a sponge and we're absorbing all the crap, we're not doing this world good. And listen, we came through something, and I won't even say it because I'll get blocked on this. It'll be shut down, like the algorithm, the platform. I'm just saying our world just took a dip. And over the past 3.5 years, it's been on a low. But now we're coming back up. I feel we are. And so let's all come back up. The law of polarity, what comes up must go down. What goes down must come back up. Let's go up now. Let's go back up. Let's get a reset. Let's come back and let's build it better. Let's not just fall into this and be like, let that run its course. Let's take control, be better people. And I would love your feedback. Do you agree or disagree? Is social media a problem right now? Is AI a problem? Listen, I got a lot of DMs. A lot of controversy came back from last week's episode about how I turned ChatGPT against itself because I exposed a lot of things. And guess what? The people that were doing it were DMing me upset. And that's exciting. That's exciting. I'm not trying to point fingers at people. But if you're doing it like that, go back and listen to that episode. You'll understand where I'm coming from, why I'm bringing this up. I got a lot of DMs. I got a lot of people unfollowing me, and that was great. And it sucks because I like to keep people around, but they just couldn't handle it because they were doing the wrong things. Now, there was people going, wow, I didn't notice that, but now I noticed it, and thank you, I'm going to look for it. So I got equally amount of good feedback. But man, some of these DMs from these entrepreneurs that are doing the thing that I talked about, they're frustrated because I exposed that to them. I didn't call them out. I exposed that to them, and they go, wow, that's what I'm doing. Like this guy ruined my whole strategy. I didn't ruin it. It's just a matter of time. You can't, if it's not your content, people are going to know. So if anything, I did you a favor. Because now you're going to go back and recreate the drawing board and hopefully not have to recreate the wheel, but just lean into it a little bit more and be more personal and do the work. Show up for that. So yeah, in a way, it was kind of exciting. I got some controversy and I wasn't mad. I lost some people. That's fine. I lost some followers. It's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Because I only want to work with the best of the best. I only work with the people that are exciting. I only want the community full of people that are going to help each other out. I'm not interested in everybody. I'm only interested in people that I attract into my life, that attract me into their lives, like the good stuff. So that's what I have to share with you. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Again, I'm ripping this on the PodTrack P4. If you want to learn more about podcasting from start to success, I highly recommend that you get inside my podcast community mastermind group on Facebook. It's absolutely free. And I'm teaching you all about podcasting and how to get it to go. And we'll even do a launch party right there inside the group with you. It's a great community, a lot of support. It's a smaller community, and I think you'll love it. So check it out by visiting thepodcastintherough.com/learn. That is thepodcastintherough.com/learn. And get inside the group. Again, it's absolutely free, and I hope you learn about it. And there's a whole bunch of other episodes that you can go back to in this Podcast in the Rough, Season 3 and Season 4, where I teach you all about podcasting because I love it. And now I'm getting more personal, and I want to talk to you more about these social experiments and just get your feedback. And if you'd like to leave me a rating and a review, we'd love a star rating and review on Apple Podcast or any other platform that you're listening to this on. We appreciate that. I appreciate that. So thank you so much. And I'll talk to you next week for another great episode of the Podcast in the Rough. Enjoy your weekend. This is the Podcast in the Rough.